People, Floyd Shivambu is politically vulnerable. He's fallen foul of both Jacob Zuma and Julius Malema, his former bestie. And now he has the stink of the VBS scandal clinging to him. Now, if one were to measure a revolutionary by the state of their facial adornment, then Floyd Shivambu's dalliance in politics currently looks as patchy as his beard. Hi, I'm Marianne Thamm, a journalist and associate editor with Daily Maverick. Now, Shivambu, who is easing closer to what might be the political wilderness after a Darwinian coup in his new political home, the Umkhonto we Sizwe party, and prompted by a false intelligence report, is on a mission to find his rightful place in South African politics, revolutionary politics. So last Friday, the 27th of June, Shivambu announced that he would be consulting widely to gauge the temperature for a launch of his own political party, which he hopes will contest the 2026 local government elections.
And if our qualitative and quantitative assessment is that we should form a political party or a political movement, we're going to do so.
Now, while there appears to be no formal announcement that Shivambu has in fact left MK, it's clear that he is eyeing the party's spinning revolving door. The party's ver verlate vlaktes, far and desolate plains, are already home to the hungry ghosts of the likes of Jimmy Manye, MK party founder Jabulani Kumalu, Mervyn Dirks, Arthur Zwane, Sifiso Maseko, and several others who have been through Jacob Zuma's meat grinder. Last week, still dressed in his MK regalia, Shivambu announced on Elon Musk's platform X, on Friday, 27 June 2025, we will announce the National Consultation Team, NCT, of Mahibeye consultation process. As always, we will use this opportunity to exercise what Amilcar Cabral taught us, that as revolutionaries, we should hide nothing from the masses of our people, tell no lies, expose lies wherever they are told, mask no difficulties, mistakes, or failures, claim no easy victories, tell no lies, claim no victories. He trailed off. Now, those who've thrown in their lot with Shivambu's initiative include former economic freedom fighters MPs Vusi Khosa and Fana Mokoena, and former MK party members Patrick Sindani and Menzi Magubane, and also Bishop Stephen Zondo. Now, what got us here exactly? Well, Shivambu's slide in 10 months from the top leadership of the country's largest opposition party was lubricated after the staunch Marxists' visit over Easter to fugitive pastor Shepherd Bushiri in his hideout in plain sight in Malawi. Now, Bushiri skipped bail in South Africa with his wife Mary in 2020 after facing charges of rape, money laundering and fraud. In an interview after the controversial drop-in, Shivambu said that joining the MK party for him had been the best political decision he had ever taken, until it appears it wasn't. Zuma claimed Shivambu had given his blessing, so to speak, for the meeting, but others in the party distanced themselves from this tea diplomacy, smelling more fish than cookies. Shivambu was first demoted, the 8th Secretary General to come through the party's chaotic works, and offered a spot in the National Assembly, which he turned down. So it's clear that his Mahibeye consultation process is an attempt to bring together the progressive forces on the left, and this will consume his spare time in future, and he might have a lot of that. How he'll fund this initiative is yet to be revealed. However, Shivambu has said that thousands had already volunteered their time and money. Now, prior to announcing the media conference, Shivambu referred to himself as we on social media. Now, we all know this is where the slippery slope begins, when politicians begin to use we. It's the red flag, it's the flare, it's the canary in the coal mine, it's the straitjacket moment. Before, we was always a duo, Malema and Shivambu. Now it's Floyd alone in the spotlight. After betraying Malema, his childhood fellow revolutionary and EFF commander-in-chief, Shivambu fell in August 2024 into the warm arms of former President Jacob Zuma, followed by a rather chilling embrace from Zuma's charming daughter, Duduzile. So Shivambu's Mahibeye Africa movement feels a little bit like Agang, Mampela Rampela's political platform, or Mmusi Maimani's Build One South Africa movement, which then turned into a political party, and that now has 3 seats, 2 in the National Assembly and 1 in Gauteng. This was all needed, said Shivambu, because the MK party, led by a man he once publicly called a thief, was a Zulu nationalist movement, as if he were born yesterday and was not aware of what the rest of us knew from the very start. Was Shivambu fast asleep during all those memorable pay back the money chants? in the National Assembly. With this in mind, he said, we will be visiting all corners of South Africa to listen to the people. He promised this. He explained this quest, noting that we ask these questions because our strong conviction and belief that no individual should start a political party out of their own personal convictions and not collective convictions. He added that a political party should never be a family project, nor should it be tribal, nor a regional or provincial project, I suppose subtweeting something we don't know what. It should also never be a private property, nor a cult or fiefdom. Instead, it should be a fighting instrument for people as a whole, espouse deep economic principles and values, and transparent and accountable it should be to the people. Speaking of which, at this point, it would be appropriate to drop in the fact that Tshifiso Matotsi, the former chair of VBS Bank, is currently serving 15 years in jail after pleading guilty to 33 counts of corruption, theft, fraud, money laundering, and a pattern of racketeering activities. In July 2024, Matotsi entered into a plea deal and signed a 70-page witness statement with annexures, which totals 263 pages, took around 3 weeks to draft, and reads like a harida on tik. Now, as my colleague Paulie van Wyk said at the time, where she wrote that Malema and Shivambu knew that the funds they received from VBS were unlawful, and Matotsi claims because Malema and Shivambu created this front company called Schameka Projects. Later, after 4 years of investigation by the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests, a letter to the Democratic Alliance from the Parliament's acting Registrar of Members' Interests, Advocate Anthea Gordon, indicated that Shivambu's salary was docked for 9 days for breaching Parliament's Code of Ethics. The committee found that Shivambu had failed to disclose money transferred to him from Schameka Projects, which was owned by his brother Brian. This was a 180,000 rand transfer to his account in August 2017, that year that keeps on haunting us. In 2019, Brian, Floyd's brother, was ordered by the Johannesburg High Court to pay 1.78 million to the bank's liquidators. And then in June 2021, Brian signed a secret contract admitting to having received 4.55 million from VBS, promising to repay this money, which belonged to the municipalities as well as the pensioners in Venda. As Van Wyk reported, Brian Shivambu's attorneys insisted on a secrecy clause before their client signed an acknowledgement of debt for the 4.55 million in favor of Vele Investments, the majority shareholder in VBS Mutual Bank, during Vele's insolvency inquiry. Vele and VBS, along with other related companies, created a single criminal enterprise under the stewardship of the bank chairman Matotsi, with the goal of fraudulently siphoning off money from the bank's depositors and laundering these proceeds to participants in the scam, which amounted to about 2.7 billion in the end. Several arrests related to the VBS Mutual Bank scandal have been made, including Limpopo ANC heavyweight and businessman Danny Msiza, who is facing charges of fraud and corruption for pushing mayors into supporting VBS. According to Matotsi's claims, Malema and Shivambu's EFF had been counted among the most vociferous critics of the VBS loan initially to Jacob Zuma. Malema had in fact campaigned on stage against VBS at political rallies at the time. So Daily Maverick's Scorpio investigation highlighted also that VBS funds were funneled through fronts towards the building works of a restaurant called Grand Azania. Were the NPA and the SIU not so busy chasing the state capturers who live among us, like Brian Molefe, they might now have time to consider Shivambu, who is politically more vulnerable, having, like Icarus, flown too close to two suns. The one, Malema, hotter than the other, Zuma.